Welcome to the Bloomingdale Public Library's presentation on making a scary comic with Make-Beliefs Comics. Writing can be scary, but to make it more fun, why not try writing comics? How about some scary comics for Halloween? Brains. Make-Beliefs Comics has some fun comic starters to make it easy. Let's go to the website and sign in to get started. We're going to go to the website makebeliefscomics.com. It has some kind of weird spelling, so if you look on the slide here, you'll see it's beliefs, B-E-L-I-E-F-S, and then comics, C-O-M-I-X. You're going to click on Create Comics, which is towards the top on the second menu bar, and it's right below the title. So just go ahead, click on Create Comics. Then you're going to log in, or if you haven't logged in before, you're going to register. So click on Register on the bottom of this box. Then go ahead and fill in your username and password. You don't need to put an email address in if you don't want to, but if you ever lose your password, you'll lose your comics. So if you do have an email address, it would be good to put that in. After you sign in, you can go to your first comics. And it starts with a blank comic panel of 3. So go to the top where it says name your comics, and then put in your author name in case you want to share it later. So here's your comic panel, and you're going to start on panel number 1. So in this website, you're going to add characters and backgrounds to make your comics. So you don't have to actually draw anything, which is great for me because I'm not a very good artist, but I do like to lay things out on the computer. The bar below the comics panel shows all the items that can be added to the comics. As you can see here, there's characters, animal friends, balloons and prompts, and other things on that bottom row to get you started. So here's some of the main things you might want to add to your comics. There's characters, which are people and aliens and monsters, things like that. There's some animal friends. There's some talk balloons, thought balloons, and prompts. There's some objects like plants and guitars and cakes. There's some words like in comics when it's like eek, pow, pop. You might want to add those to your comics. And then there's backgrounds, or you can just make a background color behind your comic. Let's look at characters first. You can add characters to your comic. Here are some of the choices, and some of them are spooky since we're doing spooky comics. There's the mummy, or Frankenstein, or that scary witch, or a devil, or they're just regular characters if you're not feeling spooky in the day. So to add the character, you go to the character on the bar, click on the character, and then you'll choose a pose. Each character has 1 to 4 choices. On this one, our Frankenstein, he has a cat. He looks like he's crying or laughing. He's using his phone, or he's having some tea. Once you click on your choice, it'll be added to your panel. Now it is time to adjust him. Right below the panel, there has some different things you can use to adjust the characters in your panel. The first one on the left is Move. Click the icon just below the panel, and it will change color from being kind of washed out into having a color. Then click on the character, and you can move it around and put him where you want him to go. So for this comic, you always click the action first, and then you click the character to move it. Once the character is in a good spot, you can adjust the size by the next icon, the scale icon. This makes him larger or smaller. Once you click on the character, a slider bar pops up to adjust the size. So you can make him smaller or really, really large if you want to look at something on him. That looks good. Now we can add some other items. We can add balloons and prompts. So this is the next thing on that bar on the bottom. So you can add a talk balloon, a thought balloon, or a prompt. Talk balloons are for when a character is speaking. Thought balloons are for when a character is thinking. And prompts narrate actions happening in the comic. The trick of this comic is to choose the smallest balloon that all your words will fit in. If you choose the wrong one, copy and paste the words, delete the balloon, and get a larger or smaller one. Add the balloon, then type in the words. When you are done, check the size, change it if needed, and then move the balloon to the right spot. It's just like changing the size of a character. The next item on our list of ways to change our comic is the flip icon, and it will give a mirror image of the item that you touch. Just remember to click the action button, which in this case is flip, and then the item. The last action on this list is delete. Click the delete and then the item you want to delete. So like the other ones, you click the action first and then you click the comic or the balloon. You can also add animal friends to your comic. As you can see here, there's dogs and lizards and birds and all kinds of fun stuff to add. There are also a lot of objects. There's a watermelon and a cake or a baguette. So that can add fun detail to your comic. Comic words are fun when there's a lot of action happening in your comic. You can put eek or poof or pop or pow. They can be added and then sized just like any other item in your comic. Finally, you can add a background. There's two different types of background. First is just a background that's preset in the comic. You can have a beach or a park or a scary mansion would be really good for a spooky comic, but anything can be spooky if you add in some spooky characters. So add those just like the other items, except for they'll take up the whole background of your comic. You can also add a color. Just click on background color, and then you can add in a red or a blue or a pink or whatever color that you want to add. So once one panel is done and you have it all sized and all the text in there and everything, then you can go on to the next one on your list of 3. So at the top menu bar, there's 1, 2, 3, and those are the comics that are already there, or you can add plus or minus, so the plus will add another frame, or the minus will take a frame away. You can add up to 18 frames in your comic. Click on save when you're all done to save your comic before you close it. If you don't save it, then you won't be able to have it later. Then, if you come back to it later, you'll find it by going to the right hand of the menu bar and click on View All Saved Comics. And that will bring up all the comics that you have in your account. If you don't have an idea to start your comic right now, you can always go to the comic starters. On the main page, scroll down to comic strip starters and click. There's like to talk to your pet, spark your creativity, or other things that you can start for a new comic. After you choose one, you might need to add some more panels since most of these only have one panel in them. So add the panels like we described before and then keep on going with your story. When you're all done, you can share it with your friends. Here's a comic that I made, and as you can see, it's when you print it out, you can see all the frames next to each other, unlike the other one that we were viewing when we were making the comic. So you scroll down to choose what you're going to do with your comic. You can review your comic, which means you go back and edit it. You can create a new comic. As you can see, on the left side is the go back and edit. If it looks good, you just click on the print button and it will print the comic, just like a few frames ago where we had the whole comic together. You can also click on share image to disk, and that comic will be downloaded as a picture. So you can add it to other documents, or you can just share it with your friends on other platforms. Finally, you can email it to your friends with the email on the far right of this. So just put in your name and your email and off it will go. So here's a comic that I made, Miss Leslie. I love spooky jokes, so I made some spooky jokes. I laid it out a little bit differently here so it would fit on our screen, but it would come out like that other screen that we saw earlier. If you need more ideas, check out some of our spooky books or graphic novels. We even have ebooks. If you want to learn more about ebooks, just let Miss Leslie know. And if you make a comic, email it to Miss Leslie at lblunt@mybpl.org, and we will display all the comics that we get. This is just to help you get started. If you need help, you can book a computer appointment with Computer Services or ask for Miss Leslie in Youth Services. If you want to learn more about tech topics, check out one of our other videos on our YouTube channel. I've done lots of videos, Miss Leslie, and also the Computer Services Department has done lots of videos. So you can learn about just about anything on our YouTube channel. Thanks for visiting and have a happy, scary Halloween.